There's a moment in everyone's life when everything stops moving. Not because you found peace, but because the world you built around yourself suddenly collapses. It happens quietly. One day, the phone stops lighting up. The laughter fades. The people you thought would never leave vanish like smoke. And you're left alone. Not the kind of alone you post about, but the kind that echoes through your chest like a hollow drum. You start asking questions no one can answer. Why did they leave? Why wasn't I enough? Why did everything I loved turn into everything that hurts? And the silence just stares back. That's when you meet yourself for the first time. Not the version you show the world, but the one behind all the smiles, the pretending, the survival. It's raw, unfiltered, honest, and terrifying. Because now there's nowhere left to hide. No distractions, no noise, just you. And the truth you've been running from. The truth that maybe you gave too much, maybe you ignored the signs, maybe you stayed where you were slowly dying because you were afraid to be alone. But here's the thing about silence. It's not empty. It's full of answers. In the beginning, it feels like punishment. It feels like the universe ripped everything away just to watch you fall apart. But stay there long enough, and the silence starts to speak. It tells you what really mattered and what never did. It shows you who actually cared and who only came for the benefit of being close to you. It whispers the hardest truth of all, that sometimes losing everyone is the only way to find yourself. That's where the real power begins, not when you get them back, not when you prove them wrong, but when you stop needing them to define your worth. Because silence isn't the absence of something. It's the space where you rebuild everything. You learn to sit with your pain instead of escaping it. You learn to listen to your heartbeat again, not the voices that told you you'd never make it. You learn that solitude isn't loneliness. It's sacred. It's the forge where the weak version of you burns away. And what rises from it is something fierce, something certain, something unbreakable. That's the weight of silence. It's heavy at first. It hurts. It suffocates. It breaks you open. But if you let it strip you down to nothing, you'll find the one thing no one can ever take again: yourself. From the moment you were old enough to feel pain, they started feeding you lies. Soft ones, sweet ones, wrapped in comfort and good intentions. They told you that pain was something bad, something to hide, something to run from. They told you to stay positive, to smile through the hurt, to move on before you've even learned how to stand again. They told you healing meant pretending it doesn't hurt anymore. That forgiveness meant letting them back in. That strength meant silence. But none of that was true. They lied to you because they were afraid of what pain really is: a teacher, a mirror, a fire that burns everything false. See, pain doesn't come to destroy you. It comes to reveal you. It strips away the lies you've built your life on. That love will save you. That people will stay if you're kind enough. That doing everything right means you'll never get hurt. The truth: you can love with your whole heart and still be left. You can give everything and still not be chosen. You can be loyal, selfless, good, and still watch the world turn its back on you. Pain is what happens when reality collides with your illusions. It's the sound of truth shattering the stories you told yourself to survive. You were taught to see that as failure, but it's freedom. Because once the illusions are gone, you finally see life as it is, not as you wish it to be. You stop expecting fairness from the unfair. You stop chasing love from the unwilling. You stop waiting for people to understand your worth. Because you understand it now. You realize that every scar on your heart is a mark of evolution. Every betrayal was a redirection. Every heartbreak was a teacher disguised as pain. And the more you tried to avoid it, the longer you delayed your own becoming. They never told you that. They never said that comfort breeds weakness, that safety can be a cage, that avoiding pain keeps you small. But now you know. You know that the pain you ran from held the lessons you needed most, that the fire you feared was the only thing strong enough to forge you. So the next time it hurts, don't numb it. Don't rush to escape it. Sit in it. Let it tear through you. Let it burn away everything that isn't real. Because what survives the pain, that's who you were meant to be all along. And when you emerge from the ashes, when you finally stop believing the lies they taught you, you won't just be healed. You'll be reborn. Here's the thing no one dares to say out loud. Suffering isn't noble. It isn't poetic. It's raw, brutal, and unfair. It's the moment when you wake up in the morning and can't remember why you should get out of bed. It's the silence after you've screamed all your words into a void. It's that deep ache in your chest that no one can see. The kind that steals your breath when the memories hit you at random hours of the night. No one prepares you for that. No one teaches you how to survive it, because no one wants to talk about the darkness that shapes us. But here's the truth. Suffering is not a punishment. It's a passage. It's the tunnel between who you were and who you're meant to become. It doesn't make sense while you're in it, because transformation never feels gentle. When your heart breaks, it's not just from loss. It's from your soul outgrowing the life it's been trapped in. The pain feels unbearable because you're shedding a version of yourself that can't survive where you're going next. And yes, at first, it makes you bitter. You become angry, guarded. You start questioning everything and everyone. You start seeing through illusions you once clung to for comfort. That's not regression. That's awakening. You begin to realize how long you accepted crumbs, how often you silenced your voice to keep the peace, how many times you mistook loyalty for love. Suffering forces you to confront every part of yourself you tried to avoid. The wounds you buried, the habits you defended, the pain you kept pretending didn't matter. Because suffering is ruthless in its purpose. It drags the truth into the light. It shows you that not every person who broke you was cruel. Some were lessons you needed to learn. It shows you that healing isn't about getting back to who you were. It's about building someone stronger from the ruins. It shows you that there's a strength in you that only reveals itself when everything else is gone. But here's the part no one tells you. Suffering doesn't hand you transformation automatically. It offers you a choice. You can let it make you resentful. Let it twist you into someone who hides from love, from trust, from risk. Or you can let it carve you open and rebuild you from the inside out. That choice is the difference between staying broken and becoming powerful. And that choice is never easy, because it means sitting in the discomfort instead of escaping it. It means accepting that you won't get closure for every wound. It means forgiving yourself for not knowing better before you did. You stop waiting for the world to make it right and start realizing that the world owes you nothing. And in that brutal realization, something shifts. You stop seeking peace from people who thrive in chaos. You stop begging for love from those who only understand control. You stop fighting for spaces that were never meant to hold you. You begin to see that suffering, as cruel as it feels, was never there to destroy you. It was sculpting you, refining you, breaking down the fragile parts so the unshakable ones could rise. That's the truth about suffering. It's not the end of your story. It's the forge where your spirit learns its strength. It's the silence before the breakthrough. It's the pain that pushes you toward the life you were meant to claim. And one day, when you look back, you won't recognize the person who once begged for things that almost broke you. Because that version of you didn't understand yet that the suffering wasn't there to define you. It was there to free you. There comes a moment, after the breakdown, after the silence, after the endless nights of asking why, when something inside you changes. It's not loud. It doesn't announce itself with lightning or noise. It starts as a flicker, small, trembling, but alive. That's the fire, the one pain left behind. Because every time your heart shattered, every time someone underestimated you, every time life cornered you, something deep inside you refused to die. That spark, that stubborn little ember, waited for you to remember who you are. And when you finally stop running from the pain, when you stop asking for the world to be easier, that's when it starts to grow. See, pain doesn't just leave scars, it leaves fuel. Every betrayal becomes oxygen. Every rejection becomes a match. Every moment you thought you couldn't survive becomes gasoline poured over your potential. You don't even realize it at first. You think you're breaking again? But you're not. You're igniting. That's the fire within you. The hunger that refuses to let you stay small. It's what makes you start over when no one believes in you. It's what makes you get up after being told you're not enough. It's what whispers, "Watch me," every time someone counts you out. Pain changes you in one of two ways. It can make you bitter, or it can make you unstoppable. The difference isn't what happened to you. It's what you decide to do with it. You can use the fire to burn everything down, or to build something new. You can let it turn you cold, hard, guarded, or you can let it teach you discipline, focus, power. Because fire doesn't just destroy, it purifies, it transforms, it forges steel out of weakness. And once you've felt that fire inside you, you stop chasing validation. You stop begging to be seen. You start realizing you were always powerful. You just forgot where to look. The fire within you doesn't care about your past. It doesn't care who hurt you, who left you, who didn't believe. It only cares about one thing, that you rise. It doesn't matter how many times you fell. It doesn't matter how long you stayed down. As long as there's breath in your lungs, that flame can still come back to life. And it will. Because every time you choose to keep going, when it would be easier to give up, you feed it. Every time you choose growth over bitterness, peace over revenge, purpose over pain, you strengthen it. That's why the strongest people are never the ones who had it easy. They're the ones who walked through the fire and didn't let it turn them into ash. They became the fire. And when you become the fire, you stop waiting for permission. You stop explaining your worth. You stop dimming your light just to make others comfortable. You start walking into rooms with quiet certainty because you know no one can take from you what you've already built inside. You've burned. You've bled. You've risen. And now your scars aren't signs of weakness. They're proof that you survived the flames. The fire within is not rage. It's not revenge. It's the power that comes when you realize you've already been through hell. And you're still here. That's when the world starts to feel your heat. Not because you want to destroy, but because you finally know how to create. And when they ask what changed you, you won't say the pain. You'll say, the fire it left behind. There comes a point when the storm finally quiets, not because it's over, but because you learned how to stand in the middle of it without breaking. That's the rise. Not the moment you smile again, not when everything feels fixed, but when you realize you don't need things to go back to the way they were. Because you're not the same person anymore. You've been through the fire. You've faced the silence. You've buried versions of yourself that the world will never see again. And it's not tragedy anymore. It's transformation. You start moving differently, not out of fear, but out of clarity. Not to prove something, but because you finally understand what's worth your energy. You don't chase anymore. You attract. You don't beg to be understood. You let your peace do the talking. You don't fight to be seen. You've already seen yourself, and that's enough. That's what rising really means. It's not about revenge or validation. It's about reclaiming your power from everything that once made you doubt it. Because here's the truth. You can't rise until you've fallen. You can't stand tall until you've been on your knees, begging the pain to stop. You can't discover your strength until life strips away everything that made you feel safe. And when you rise from that, when you pull yourself out of the ashes, you carry a calm that can't be faked. You stop needing closure from the people who broke you. You stop waiting for apologies that will never come. You stop searching for the old you, because you outgrew them the moment you survived what should have destroyed you. That's when the air feels different. When you look in the mirror and realize the light in your eyes isn't innocence anymore. It's understanding. It's power. It's self-respect carved out of pain. You walk through life with that quiet strength that others can feel before you even speak. Because once you've been burned by betrayal, by loss, by disappointment, you stop being afraid of fire. You become it. You become the storm they never saw coming. Not because you want to hurt anyone, but because you finally know your worth. You no longer confuse peace with people-pleasing. You no longer see solitude as punishment. You no longer accept love that costs you your self-respect. You learned the lessons pain was sent to teach you, and you didn't just learn them, you lived them. Now, when someone leaves, you don't collapse, you nod. When things fall apart, you don't panic, you rebuild. When life tests you again, you don't ask, why me? You ask, what is this teaching me this time? That's how you know you've risen, not when the pain is gone, but when it no longer controls you. You've turned wounds into wisdom, chaos into clarity, loss into liberation. And the people who once doubted you, who walked away when you were breaking, they'll look at you now and swear you changed overnight. But you'll know the truth. This wasn't sudden. This was earned. In silence, in solitude, in suffering. This is what the rise looks like. A soul that's been stripped bare, a heart that's been rebuilt with fire, and a mind that refuses to bow to fear ever again. So, when they ask, how did you do it? You'll smile because they'll never understand what it took. You didn't climb out of the darkness to prove them wrong. You rose to prove to yourself that you were always meant for more. And from this moment on, you move differently. You breathe differently. You live differently. Because once you've risen from your own ruins, nothing and no one can ever bring you down again. Power doesn't come from what you gain. It comes from what you survive. It's not in the trophies, the money, or the applause. It's in the nights you almost gave up but didn't. It's in the mornings you got out of bed, when your heart felt too heavy to carry. It's in the moments when everything inside you screamed, "Stop," and you whispered back, "Not yet." That's power, quiet, relentless, sacred. You see, the world taught you that strength means being untouchable, that power means control. But the truth is, power is vulnerability turned into wisdom. It's heartbreak turned into discernment. It's suffering turned into self-respect. You earned your power not by conquering others, but by conquering yourself. You mastered your emotions instead of being ruled by them. You stopped letting anger define you. You stopped letting pain become your personality. You learned how to sit with the fire until it became warmth instead of destruction. That's what real strength is. Not pretending you don't hurt, but refusing to let your hurt decide who you are. Because pain didn't destroy you. It revealed you. It peeled back everything false until only truth remained. The raw, unpolished, unshakable you. The part of you that no longer needs validation to feel worthy. The part that doesn't chase love. It attracts it. The part that doesn't fear failure because it's already met rock bottom and lived to tell the story. And here's the secret. Power isn't loud. It doesn't need to shout. It doesn't demand to be seen. It moves differently. It's calm in chaos. It's grace under pressure. It's the silence that speaks louder than any revenge could. They won't understand it at first. They'll look at you and think you've gone cold. But you're not cold. You're clear. You've outgrown the noise. You've learned that sometimes silence is the victory. The world expects you to come back angry, vengeful, not desperate to prove yourself. But you come back steady, focused, unbothered. Because when you know your worth, you don't chase anything. You choose. You choose peace over chaos. You choose distance over disrespect. You choose purpose over pity. You choose to rise without announcing it. And that's when people start to notice. Not because you're shouting about your strength, but because you've become impossible to shake. You've walked through the fire, and now you carry it. It burns in your eyes, in your presence, in the way you hold yourself. Not arrogance, awareness. You know what you've endured. You know what it cost. And you know no one can take that from you. That's why real power feels peaceful. Because you no longer need to prove anything. You've already faced your greatest enemy, your own weakness. You've already stood in the ruins and built again. You've already met pain, looked it in the eyes, and said, "You don't own me anymore." And that's when the world starts to shift. The same things that once broke you now fuel you. The same memories that once haunted you now remind you how far you've come. The same silence that once suffocated you now feels like home. That's the moment you realize you didn't just survive your pain. You transformed it. You turned heartbreak into hunger, loss into liberation, doubt into discipline. You became what pain tried to destroy. And that's why your power feels different. Because it was earned, not given. It was forged in nights of confusion, days of silence, years of rebuilding yourself from dust. You are not fragile anymore. You're not chasing ghosts. You're not defined by what they did to you. You're defined by what you did next. Because pain handed you the weapon, but you're the one who decided how to use it. And now, you wield it with purpose, with peace, with presence. That's power, not dominance, not control, but quiet, unshakable sovereignty over yourself. You don't need to prove your worth anymore. You embody it. You don't need to shout about your strength. You live it.